So typically within Atlas, you used to be able to send announcements to students, post message boards and things like that. But what's gone is most folks now use Blackboard to do that. So we're just going to go over some of those basics and how to do it in Blackboard instead of Course Studio. If at any point you have any questions, feel free to type them into the question box. Or if I'm going too fast, feel free to tell me to slow down. Or if you know a lot of this already, feel free to let me know that as well. So let me hop on over to Blackboard. And there's a few ways to access Blackboard, and since most of you have used Blackboard in the past, I'm going to test your knowledge. What are some of the ways that you can access Blackboard? Any ideas? All right, we got one answer, and that is to go through the link in Atlas. That is true. So when you first log into Atlas and you click on the Courses tab, you can click on this little picture on the right that says Access Your Online Courses. That takes you directly to your Blackboard courses. The nice thing about this way is that it's a single sign-on, meaning if you log into Atlas, you do not have to log into Blackboard separately. Once you click on that link, you are in Blackboard automatically. However, the downside of using this method is that if Atlas happens to be down, you will not be able to access Blackboard this way. And just because Atlas is down doesn't mean that Blackboard is down, so I'm going to teach you another way to access Blackboard. So that's one way, is through Atlas in the My Courses, in the courses, and access your online courses link. Another way to access Blackboard is to go to the Valencia homepage, go to Quick Links, and select Online Courses. So that is the second way to access Blackboard, and this method will work even if Atlas happens to be down at that specific time. If Blackboard is running, then you'll be able to do this as well. Okay, so that's method number 2. Method number 3 is to go directly to the URL, which is learn.valenciacollege.edu. And that works if for some reason the Valencia main page seems to be down. I think we got bigger problems. But you could potentially go to learn.valenciacollege.edu and access the Blackboard login page that way. This is a good page to bookmark because it doesn't require you to go through Atlas to sign in or anything like that. So I like bookmarking learn.valenciacollege.edu. Okay. While we're at this page, let me just cover some basics. Your Atlas password and your Blackboard password are synchronized, and of course most of you kind of know this already because you use it. There is a weekly maintenance window for Blackboard. That maintenance window is every Sunday morning, 2 to 6 a.m. So especially if you teach online or are planning to teach online at some point, try to make any assignments not due between 2 and 6 a.m. and also communicate that to your students every Sunday. So that's good to know. If you need help with Blackboard, this page right here, this login page, tells you how you can get help with Blackboard. The way you do that is by one of two ways, by either calling 407-582-5600. That is a 24 hours a day, 7 days a week support phone number. And the other way to get some help is to email us. And if you hover over this email link right here, you can email us. The email address is onlinehelp@valenciacollege.edu. And when you email online help, typically that's answered between regular business hours, which during the summer are 8 to 5, Monday through Thursday, and 8 to noon on Fridays. When you email us at online help, you'll hear from one of our friendly instructional designers. You might even hear from me directly. So those are the two main ways to get help with Blackboard. Okay. Any questions on this login page, the maintenance windows, how to get help with Blackboard before I jump right into Blackboard? And if you don't have any questions, just feel free to say no. At least that way I know that you don't have any and I can move on. Okay, good. So it sounds like we're all good. One more thing I want to say about the maintenance windows is typically between the semesters we install some upgrades to Blackboard. So sometimes there's additional maintenance windows between the semesters, or if we have, for some reason, we need some emergency maintenance, we sometimes do take the system down. If that happens, and it happens rarely, you'll see a message pop up on this login screen. So hopefully that's the way that we can communicate to you if Blackboard happens to be down. So I'm going to go ahead and log right in. The first thing I want to talk about is course availability. Pretty much around the same time that your course is created in Banner, that course appears in Blackboard. And it's a shell for you to add questions, to add content to, and my computer just, okay, I think my computer's back now. Pretty much as soon as the course is created in Banner, it goes ahead and gets created in Blackboard automatically. So you can see an example of this right here. So here is the course 2015-01 Blackboard Essentials that is not yet available. However, because it has been created in Banner, it is available for me in Blackboard. Notice there's a note that says this course will be available on Wednesday, January 21st, 2015. That date relates to students. As far as the instructor goes, and I'm the instructor for that course is fully available, and I can go into it, I can add content, I can email folks that are already enrolled in the course. So just because a course hasn't opened yet does not mean that you can't begin building your course in Blackboard or emailing your students if you wish to. And that's one of the things that we're going to go over today, is how to email your students from Blackboard. So please take advantage of that. I know that one of the most heavily used features in Atlas, in Course Studio, was to email your students. Well, now you're able to do this in Blackboard as well. So that's good news. So I'm going to jump into a course. I'm going to go into a sample course here. Go into this one. Actually, you know what? I'm going to switch. I'm going to pick a different course. I'm going to pick Hector's test course. There we go. So the first thing I wanted to go over is just how to upload some basic files to Blackboard, like your class syllabus, certain PDFs or something like that. So to do that, you would go to a content area, and when you first open up a course in Blackboard, certain content areas are created for you. For example, you'll probably have a blank space called content that appears on your menu bar. That is created for you to add content to. So I'm going to go to that content area right away, and I already happen to have a little bit of content in here, but when you first open this, it would be blank. So to add something like a syllabus to this content area, you would go to the Build Content part of the action bar. If you do not see Build Content, you need to make sure that Edit Mode is on. Every time Edit Mode is off, you are previewing the content, and you do not have access to add new content or modify content. But when your Edit Mode is on, then you have access to modify content or move content around. So you would go to Build Content in the action bar, and there's a few ways to add files. Probably the simplest way is to just go here to create a file. So this will let you title your file. So let's say, for example, that you're adding your syllabus. Actually, Fall 2014 would be right. You're able to browse your computer for that file. So I'm going to pick a file here. I'm just going to pick a random syllabus. All right. And we always like opening files in new windows, so I'm going to hit Select Yes on that. And I'm going to hit Submit. And I want you to notice a couple of things when we get there. So the first thing I want you to notice is when new files are added, they go all the way to the bottom. So here is my syllabus that I just added. The other thing you might notice here is that it's a black link. Now for brand new students, that may not, or students that may not be comfortable using the internet or computers, a black link may not mean anything to them. So there's a few ways you can tackle that. I'm going to hit the down arrow and edit. So this is the way you can edit files or the title of files that you've uploaded. So one thing you could do, so you could add in parentheses, click here to begin. That way the student knows that's a clickable link. The other thing you could do is change the color of the link to blue. And we like doing this because students are aware of the fact, most students are aware of the fact that blue means it's a hyperlink. It's an active link that you can click on. So now when I scroll down, you'll see my syllabus is blue. It says click here to begin. It's very clear that this is the file that students can click on to begin and reading their syllabus. Okay. So that's a basic how to add a file to a content area in Blackboard. The nice thing about Blackboard is it does come with that default content area. You'll also have a default syllabus area for you to add items to. This little menu on the left side is completely customizable. So you can add new content areas by going to the plus sign if you wish. You can move around content areas by hovering over them and hitting the up and down arrow. Okay, so any questions about adding files for the first time or changing the name of files or having files open in a new window or any of that? Okay, so I think we're okay so far. I'm going to keep going. Perfect. All right, so that covers pretty much how to add content to Blackboard. We can get more specific if you want me to. Just feel free to ask. But that's a basic adding of content. Now we're going to talk a little bit about how to communicate with your students using Blackboard, especially how to email those students for the first time, even though the course may not be available to them yet. So there's one basic way of communicating to students in Blackboard when the course is not open yet, and it's email, essentially. So if you go to, every course has a tools area built in. So if you go to the tools area, and I'm going to click there on the menu bar, and you scroll down some, you'll see a link called Send Email. That is how you communicate with your students. So I'm going to click on Send Email. And I have the ability to send emails to all users or all student users if I wish to. We don't use observers of Valencia. An observer, if you were to think of Blackboard in the K through 12 environment, an observer might be a student's parent. But because we don't have that system here, we don't use observers. So I'm just going to go ahead and send an email to all users. What this will do is it will send a message to everybody in this course that's registered as a student. The class roles are synchronized to Atlas, so it's not quite instant, but pretty much almost instant. As soon as a student gets added to Banner, I would say overnight that student gets added to Blackboard as well. And similarly, when a student drops from Banner, pretty much overnight that student is dropped from Blackboard. So what you're seeing in the to field is just, this is my sample course, so that's why you see a dummy student. It's not because I'm a dummy, but it's my dummy student. So here is the role, the class role so far, which is good. And you will see that the email comes from my mail.valenciacollege.edu email address. And so that's good to note as well. If you keep your Atlas email separate from your Outlook email, just note that any replies to this message will come to your Atlas email. Okay, so here is where you would be able to communicate to your students and say, welcome to the course. And you would be able to add some very nice, rich text about what you want the students to learn before they come into your class. So you would be able to type all that in here. And then the most important part is you would be able to attach your files. So if I have a syllabus that I want to send them via email, I can go ahead and send that. And once I hit submit, there will be an email sent to the student's Atlas account, every student currently registered in this course, with my message and my attachment. So I like to do this every semester. I usually do it a few weeks ahead of time, but what happens is, of course, if a new student gets added after you send this message, you'll have to send this message again. So keep that in mind. If you email your students weeks before the course begins, you may want to email them again maybe 2 weeks later, just to make sure that any new additions get the email as well. Okay. So any questions about sending email through Blackboard? Okay, while you're thinking of that, I'm just going to show you what else you can do with the Send Email tool. And again, I got to that tool by going to the Tools option on the left. It is a default menu item for every brand new course that gets created at Valencia. And then you scroll down to Send Email. And then you can click All Users. Or in the case that you want to pick specific users, you can do Select Users. You could pick specifically which students you want to send to. So let's say I only wanted to send to Dummy Hector and Student Test. I would select both of them, and I would hit the little arrow to the right that would send the message to just those two students, not everybody. Okay. And then same features. You could write a subject, you could write the body of your message, you could attach a file if you like. Okay. So that's the Send Email feature. There's a good point being made. Somebody's asking a question, can you send email from the Grade Center? And you absolutely can. I want to show you how to do that really quick. So I'm going to go to my Grade Center here. And if you haven't used the Grade Center before, it's down at the bottom of your course under Control Panel. You go to Grade Center, and you can click on the little almost invisible arrow that appears right here. That'll take you to the Grade Center. And if you want to email all your students, you would hit the checkbox all the way at the top of your class roll. That selects everyone. Then you would say Email Selected Users, and the selected user, and then you'll get the same screen that you got just a second ago. Okay, so there it is. So, and then if you only wish to email select students, you would check the box next to their name and then hit Email Select Users. And I like doing it this way as well because this lets me throughout the semester email my students and lets me see their progress as I go along, which is very helpful. There's another question. When you send an email from Blackboard, does it show in your Outlook sent box? The answer is no. The short answer is no. When you send an email from Blackboard, that gets done through the Blackboard system. So that email doesn't appear in your sent box in Outlook. However, Blackboard does send you a confirmation message with a copy of what was sent and who it was sent to. So that's helpful. So what I like to do is when I email people from the Grade Center, I'm going to email somebody here. I scroll down and I hit the box that says Include List of Recipients. What this does is a copy of this message gets sent to myself, and once that message gets sent to myself, it will also have the list of people that it was sent to at the very top. Those are very good questions. And there are more questions about emails. There's also a question about the size of files that can be sent in Blackboard. I'm not sure about that one, so David, who's answering questions in the background, I'm going to have him answer that if he can.
I am checking on that as we speak. So
okay, thank you.
I hope to have an answer for you in a few minutes.
Okay. All right, so as soon as we have an answer for the size limit, we'll let you know. Okay, so that's email. There's a few other ways to send notifications to students. Another basic way I want to cover is sending announcements. So let me go over to the announcements page. And the announcements are another one of those features that are automatically enabled into your course. It's usually at the very top of your course menu, and this is what it looks like. And an announcement is pretty much a way to communicate to your students while the course is in session. So you wouldn't really want to use announcements before the course begins because your students won't be able to see the announcements. But one nice thing about announcements, I'm going to go to create an announcement here. So I'm just going to scroll down to the announcements options. Is this email announcement feature, and that lets you send an email notification of the announcements to your students. So throughout the semester, as you're sending announcements out, I always like to send the notification to my students so that they have it in their inbox as well. So they're going to see it somewhere. Whether they see it by logging into Blackboard or whether they see it by checking their email, hopefully they'll catch my announcement sooner or later. The announcements tool It works a lot like email. You still need to include a subject line, and you can include you would include the body of your message here. And one nice thing about announcements is because students will usually be logging into Blackboard to see it, you have the full use of the content editor. So you can go ahead and make things bold and larger sizes and different colors if you wish to for your students. You can restrict the dates of your announcements. So if you're very good at planning prior to the semester beginning, you could say, well, I want to have weekly announcements that go out at the right time. You could have announcements display after a certain date and stop displaying after a certain date. However, do keep in mind that if you send an email notification of the announcement, that email notification gets sent immediately. It does not wait for the display after date. It does get sent immediately. Another nice thing about announcements is you can link the announcement to a specific area of the course. So if I'm asking my students to check your grades, for example, I can link them to the My Grades page right from the announcement. My grades, let me look for my grades. There it is. And when I hit submit, no, it's telling me I have something wrong with my logic here. Let's see. What was wrong with it? There we go. So that's what the announcement looks like. You notice it's not available. That's because it will not be posted until 11:59 p.m. tonight. There's the body, and there's a link to the My Grades page, so the students can click on there. If I turn edit mode off, remember I'm previewing this with edit mode off, that announcement is not available. And the reason for that is because it's not available till later tonight. Okay. This is a good question. Can you consolidate courses? For example, can you email all your classes all at once? Unfortunately, because Blackboard does keep each course section separately, the only way to email your class is to go into each Blackboard section directly. So there's no way to easily email all your classes all at once. But if you save that message into a Word document like I like to do, so I don't have to retype them every time, you can just copy and paste that message into multiple classes. And I actually, believe it or not, what's that?
Sorry, I didn't mean to. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
I was just saying that I actually have a full Word document of about 10 messages, types of messages that I send to my students. So it's a good practice. Go ahead, Dave.
I have an answer to the size limit. For the size of files that can be sent via email. The answer is 250 megabytes. So that is very, very large. So you should not run into any limits, and you shouldn't have any problems sending files to your students.
Absolutely, thank you. Yeah, and in case you're not too familiar with file sizes, a typical syllabus will be way under 1 megabyte usually. So that should be okay. If you're having to import something really large, you might want to add it to a content item like we did before. Are there any other questions? Okay. Because most of the folks that are here have used Blackboard in the past, is there something you've been itching to know about Blackboard that you've wanted to ask the expert? We have about 3 experts with us, so if there's something you've been itching to know, this is the time to ask. Okay. While you're thinking of that, I think we covered the basics. David, am I missing anything, or did we cover the basics here?
Oh, maybe those email templates, that website.
Give me 1 second to grab that. Alrighty. One thing that was available in Atlas that will not be available after Course Studio goes away is some canned email templates. So we have made those templates available for you. I will help you navigate through how to get to those templates. It is a lengthy path, so once we get there, you may want to bookmark that page, but this is how you get to it. So you would go to the faculty and staff section from the Valencia main page. Okay. Once you are there, you would click on Learning Technology Services. And if for some reason you lose track, it's okay. I'll send you the link directly through the chat box as well. Once you're in Learning Technology Service, that's our team, you would click on Faculty Resources. You would then click on Blackboard Learn 9.1, then Blackboard Resources. Alrighty, and this is kind of where we keep all the different help documents and videos that we have for Blackboard. So I'm going to send you this link in the chat box so that you can just copy and paste it or click on it if you want to. And right about halfway through that page, there's a section called Moving from Atlas Course Studio to Blackboard. This section is specifically for tools that were available in Course Studio that are going away and how to perform the same tasks in Blackboard. So the very first link is Progress Report email templates. And these are just some suggested email templates that you can use to send to your students. For example, if a student has excessive absences, you can use this template if you wish to email them. Or they have below a C, you can use this template to email them as well. This is similar to that Word document that I was telling you that I maintain for my own classes. So I recommend you bookmark this page. I'm going to send you this page as well so that it's in the chat box. So you can bookmark this page as well if you like, just so that if you ever want to get back to them, you can. Okay. Good questions. I see some good questions that are going on in the background, and David is answering them. So also in here is how to email students in Blackboard. I went over that, but if you would like to review it, you can go back here. How to send an announcement in Blackboard. We didn't go over course messages, but course messages are another feature of Blackboard, but they are specifically for courses that are active and in session, so you wouldn't be able to use a course message for a class that hasn't yet begun. How to add files, how to create content, and some best practices for attaching files. Okay. There's one more very cool website that I want to show you, and that website is help.blackboard.com. And help.blackboard.com is an awesome resource that has videos and instructions on how to use a lot of the features on Blackboard. Another way to get help is right on the home page when you log into our Blackboard. There's an on-demand learning center. It appears for me in the center. You can move these little modules around, so you might have to look around your modules to make sure it's maybe on a different part of your page. But if you click on that on-demand learning center, it also brings you to some help videos for Blackboard. Okay. Good questions.
Hector, could we show the Course Studio one more time? Just
Sure.
to show exactly what is going away and what's staying.
Absolutely. So in Atlas, we log into Atlas. If you go to the Courses tab and you click on My Courses, it is essentially everything from here on out. Once you click on My Courses, it is essentially everything from here on out. So you used to have the ability to go into one of these courses here. You see how I have all these tools, announcements, and news, and photos. All this is going away. So everything in Atlas will remain untouched. The only thing that's going away is everything after I click on My Courses. Hopefully that helps. Okay. If you don't have any more questions, I think that's pretty much all that we had. If you do have questions, feel free to ask them. We are going to stick around for as long as we need to answer all your questions. If you need any help with Blackboard, I'm just going to type up the phone number and the email address one more time. The phone number is 407-582-5600, and that's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And the email is onlinehelp@valenciacollege.edu, and that one is answered during regular business hours. So just in case you didn't catch that before, there it is.